Hey guys, this is E with Scrapbooking with me. I know it's been a few days since I've done a video and I do apologize, but with summer it's going to be a little bit sporadic as far as my videos are concerned because I do like to spend time with my family in the summer. My grandkids come over to swim and that kind of thing, so it's going to be a little bit off and on. I can't do any kind of scheduling because I never know when they're going to show up and when things are going to change, but I'm going to do as many as I possibly can, and I really appreciate all the new subscribers. Just stick with us. We will be back on schedule with tutorials and product reviews and things like that coming probably the last part of July. But until then, we'll put up as many as we possibly can. Okay, we're going to do it's called a purse mini album today. And I've already kind of started, but I'm going to tell you exactly what I have done. I started because I didn't want this to be so long, such a long video for you. But I'm going to give you all the measurements. All the measurements will be on my blog. That link will be below, as well as a little card right up here. I will be on vacation when you watch this, so it may take me a few days to get back to you on any questions, but I will get back to you as soon as I can on any questions. Okay, you're going to start out with some chipboard that is cut at 7 by 7, and you need 2 of those pieces. Then you need a piece of chipboard that is cut at 3 by 7. That's going to be your spine piece. Alright, what I did on this to cover my chipboard, this is that paper that I was telling you about, that Kaiser Craft. It's almost like a thick, it's almost like a chipboard, but it's not as thick as a chipboard, but it's very good to make mini albums out of. And I just took 2 12 by 12 pieces and I glued them together, and then I cut it down to 19 1/4 by 9. What you want to do when you're making your mini albums is make sure you have 1 inch on all sides to fold this around. Okay, so if your mini album is 7 like mine, then you want to make sure that you have 1 inch up here and 1 inch down here, so that would make 9. And if all of you, when you put all of them together, if it all measures 16 inches, make sure that you put 2 inches on each end to do your fold around. Okay, this paper doesn't crack too, so that's another good reason why I like to use it. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to lay this down. Now what I did right here is I went ahead and marked off 1 inch with my Tim Holtz ruler, the one that I love. If you go to that little black line right there, from there over to this edge is 1 inch. So if you lay that black line right on that edge, just like that, and you mark it, then you know you've got 1 inch marked. I went ahead and marked my inch down this way and down this way, so that when I put my chipboard down, I can put it right there in that corner, just like that. Put it on that line, and I know I've got that straight. And then my next one I can do just like that, put it on that line, and I know I've got it straight all the way down. That helps you line it up. I don't like to just lay it down and hope that it's straight, and then you get down here and this one's not exactly right. I like to get it as straight as possible. So we're going to go ahead and start gluing this down, and I'm going to use some really good score tape. This is the 1/2 inch score tape. This is the best stuff that has ever been invented for mini albums. If you don't use score tape for your mini albums and they're coming apart, then that's why. They will not come apart if you use score tape. I have used this stuff for years, and I've got mini albums that I've made 10 years ago, and they're still just as good as they were the day that I made them. If you use a wet glue, just make sure that it's a good wet glue, one that's not going to, bulk your paper or warp your paper. I say bulk, and people say that's not the right word. Warp your paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all of this off, and then I'm going to show you a little trick that we use to make sure that we can have a little bit of wiggle room with this. Now, I've seen some people use a little glue stick to go on top of this to make sure they have wiggle room. That is fine and dandy, but I don't like glue sticks because they normally don't stick very long. I know this stuff works great and it sticks good. So what I do is on top of my, and first I have to unclog this, I guess, since I might have left it open. There we go. On top of my score tape, I just run a little bit of this wet glue, and this is our art glitter glue, the best stuff ever invented as far as a liquid glue. And this is going to give me a double stick because I know both of these work great. And then it's also going to give me a little bit of wiggle room so that that score tape doesn't grab so quick. See, I had a little bit of wiggle room to move it, but it's stuck now. And I put it right down that line. So then you're going to do your centerpiece. And again, we're going to put our wet glue on there to give us some wiggle room. Now you're going to put this piece down just about 1/8 of an inch gap between the two, or the width of, you can do the width of your Tim Holtz ruler. You can use the middle end, put it down, and just butt this piece up against the ruler if you want to do it that way. That gives you enough of a gap, and it makes sure that you get it straight. So we got that gap in there, and then we have this down and it's straight. So there we go, we've got that one. And then we'll do our next one. Then again, you want to make the gap between them the same. So put your ruler down. If you don't have a ruler, you can use just another piece of chipboard. There is your pieces down. And now all you need to do is take your bone folder, and you want to go around the edges of this paper and score it. This paper is very, very thick, so I'm going to go a few times over each one. Excuse my squeaky chair. And what I'm doing is putting my score bone folder right up against that chipboard and then pulling down. The little bit of extra time that you take doing something like this will make a big difference in what your mini album is going to look like. Okay, now what you want to do is trim your corners. Now, on your corner, you want to make sure that you leave about 1/8 of an inch, or the width of your scissors, your scissor blade, on the end down here. So you just want to go right across, leaving about 1/8 of an inch. And a lot of times I don't go straight, I go at kind of a curve because I don't like that to come way back here. Just depends, but just make sure that you leave that 1/8 of an inch to cover up that corner. You can always trim more, but you can't put back, so just keep that in mind. And now again, take your bone folder, and I take the flat end of my bone folder and I go up under, and I just work this up just running it down the edge until this turns up. See, all I'm doing is holding it just like that and pulling. I'm not pulling hard, I'm not pressing hard, I'm just pulling on it. Just to get that, break the fibers down in that paper a little bit. On the long one, you're going to need to go kind of slow because you don't want to poke your bone folder through the paper. But it's going to work. It's going to break the fibers down. You see how easy that folded up? Okay. So do that all the way around. Okay, now we're going to use some more of our score tape. We're going to put score tape right down the edge of this chipboard, all the way down. And then we're going to run another piece out on the edge of this. This is just a double protection that this is not going to come undone. Okay, now you just want to peel this off, and you're ready to fold this up and put it down. And you can start with either you want. Sometimes I start with the end, sometimes I start with the side. It just doesn't matter. But I usually go from one side to the other, and then I like to save, sometimes I like to save the ends till last if it's a long one like this. And that way I can make sure that I'm getting all the corners folded up like they should be. Here we go. Now let's do the ends. I have got glue on the end of my little pokey tool here. It's not wanting to work for me this morning. I've got to clean it off. So then on the ends, you just want to make sure that that's folding up correctly. If you have any little bit that needs to be fixed on the corners, go ahead and fix that now. So say there you've got your perfect corners. So just go ahead and fold that up. And then, oops, again, I take my bone folder, since it's such a thick paper, and I just go over the edge just to kind of make sure that it's a smooth edge. I just kind of run it down the flat part. See how that is a little bit cramped right there? If you just run that bone folder down it, it makes it a good smooth edge. That works great for your cardstock that you're going to put on. And I can do it easier if I lay it down, but to show you I had to hold it. So there we go. Now you want to go ahead and do your bone folder back and forth in these little edges right here, so that you can get your fold. And then just start folding easily. Don't try to bring it up all at once. And then do this one the same way. So there we go. There is the start of our mini album purse. Isn't that going to be cute? So this is the paper that I used on my pages on the inside, and I'm going to show you how to make a page in just a moment. But I'm using this paper, and this is the Crafter's Companion Signature Rustic Cottage 6x6, and that's why I made this 7x7, so that I wouldn't have to trim any of these. I could just pull them out and put them straight down. So this is the paper that I'm using on my pages, but I didn't, of course this is not big enough to use on the outside of this. So what I did was, let me show you a page that I have put together like I said, I am going to show you how to put the pages together, so no worries. This is the Blue Fern Garden Life, and look how good it matches with that paper. Matches perfectly. So I'm going to use this for my cover. We do have more of the Garden Life that will be linked down below. Now I'm not going to wrap this around since I've already got this wrapped around and everything, all my chipboard's covered, but I want to leave just a tiny bit of an edge showing on here because I'm going to distress this. So all I need to do is measure how big I need to cut that. So from my fold right here out, I've got 7 inches. So I need to cut it at 6 1/2. That will give me about 1/4 inch all the way around. And then this the same way. Cut it at 6 1/2. So 6 1/2 by 6 1/2. I might have one right there. Let's see. So I need to cut it at 2 1/2. There's 2 1/2 by 6 1/2. There we go, right there. That's our sheet. That's just a piece that I cut off of the end of one of these. So that is our spine right there, and that looks really good. So no worries there. So now we can put these down. And yeah, I go ahead and cover my outside before I do the inside. Before I do all of the inside. So that one's going to go there. That's going to go on our spine right there. And then that one is going to go there. Now we're going to ink around these with some vintage photo. That's going to make it look a little bit more distressed and blend in with that brown better. So just grab your distress ink. And this is just the regular distress ink. It's not the oxide. So see how much better putting that ink on there makes it blend in with this craft color. Really pretty. So we're going to put this down, and I'm just going to use some of our art glitter glue on the back of it. Then I am going to take just a little bit of this ink, and I'm just going to run it around the edges of the mat that I put on first. That's just going to make everything blend in together. And I'm going to put a little bit right here. And a little on this one. Okay, there is our cover, at least matted. We'll be decorating after we get the inside done. And see how much better it all ties in once you put that ink on there. Alright, we are ready for the inside. Now we need a piece to cover here. Okay, we decided to go with this for our inside cover. So I have cut 2 pieces that are 6 3/4 by 8 1/2 because I want them to meet right here in the middle of the spine, so that when I put my spine piece down to hold my pages, that you won't see that seam. So 6 3/4 by 8 1/2. There's 2 of them. Now you can go ahead and put these together and put it all down. I'm just going to lay them down. Not going to see that seam, but I am going to ink around the edges. It's going to, again, that's going to make everything blend together. It also covers up any white pieces on your paper where you cut it. And then we're going to glue these down right there, and I'm going to use my wet glue. Now right here I am going to put down some score tape. The reason being is this paper is going to hold in all of my sheets, my pages for my albums, so I'm going to make sure that this paper sticks down really well right here in the middle. So just put down some score tape and then put your paper on top of it. Alright, again we want to go over these score lines, breaking the fibers down on this paper as well. So just find your score line and run it back and forth lightly. Don't press down hard because you're going to crack the paper if you do. Oops. Then on this side too. Alright, and then start pulling up just easily and then running the bone folder across that. Remember, your glue is still a little bit wet, so you want to do this slowly. You don't want to do anything fast. Okay, we'll let that one relax for a minute and we'll work on this side. So there we go. We've got the outside and the inside covered, and now we are ready to work on some pages.